everyone, welcome back to the L20 programming class with section number 5. But this video is the number 6 because the last section is kind of too long, so I divided into 2 videos. And this video is the number 6, and the topic today we're going to talk about is the G600 modes. G600 commands are the very powerful and unique tools that Citizen offer to customers to make very complex parts with multi-axis and row cutting in easiest way. And G600 command has different modes that has a lot of ability, such as superimpose one axis to the other axis, or simultaneously machining from both sides independently at the same time in order to reduce the cycle time. Also, G600 commands acts like a queuing code in order to make sure all the tool is moving and traveling without interference. First, I will go over G610 mode. G610 is a single line machining mode using the T20's front ID tool next to the sub spindle to work for the main spindle. Since it's a single line machining mode, so everything gonna happen in one dollar sign only, and this dollar sign is gonna be $1. As you can see, everything right here is commanded on $1 only. There's nothing is controlled on $2. Also, G610 is acting as a queuing code, as nothing happened in $2. When it gets to G600 right here, it has to wait for $1 to get to the same G600, and then it can move on together. G600 will become very handy when you come to the part that require a long hole thrill, because it has a stroke about 3 inch 228,000 from the face of the front ID tool. Next will be the G620 mode. G620 will superimpose the Z2 onto Z1. That means wherever the Z1 moves, the Z2 it will follow, just like this. G620 is inner and outer diameter simultaneously machining mode. That means you can turn the OD in $1 and then thrill the same time at $2. In G620 mode, you can control X1, Z1, Y1, C1 axis in $1 and X2, Z2, C2 axis in $2. What I means earlier that you can turn the OD and thrill at the same time, because in $1 it allows you to pick the tool from T1 to T5 at the same time with T20s in $2. So right here you can see we have the T1 call out, while we call the T20s 3 in the back in $2. After the position the tool in $1, we can turn on the superimpose G620 on both sides to superimpose the Z2 onto Z1. But we have the Z argument right here following with minus 0.500,000. That means it tells the machine the sub spindle will rabbit to the position 500,000 away from the face of the part on the main spindle, and after that it start following the Z1. So after we engage with G620, we can turn on the main spindle, which is $1, and then we can thrill in the back side in $2. But then we have right here the queuing command code using G116. And what G116 does is it tells the other side to wait for the main spindle to get to the position x point 300,000, and then it can start moving from the sub spindle right here. So G620 mode is a really good function that helps you to turn and drill at the same time in order to save the cycle time. Now we will go over G630 mode. G630 is a front and back parallel machining mode, or you can call it simultaneously machining mode. You will find out that the G630 will be used in most of the program that you will write. And the idea is you want the machine to have front side and back side running together at the same time in order to cut down cycle time. And the reason why is in G630 mode, it allows you to change the tool without waiting for the other side to finish the tool turning. In G630 mode, you can control X1, Z1, Y1, C1 in $1 and X2, Z2, C2 in $2. In $1, it allows you to call the tool from T1 up to T13. In $2, it allows you to call from T30 up to T38. It depends on what type of machine that you have, and then you're gonna have 4 stations in the backside or 8 stations. And the T30 right here is the sub spindle. A lot of people will say G630 is the same with G600. For me, I would say G630 is a part of G600 because G600 can do way more than G630, and if something come up with simultaneously machining, and I will use G630 to run it instead of G600. And the reason why I will explain later when we go over G600 later with this video. G650 Pickup Support Machining Mode. In G650, we also have X1, Z1, Y1, C1 axis controlled by the $1, X2, Z2, C2 controlled by $2. In $2, G650 can use together with the W and Z argument. When you use G650 in the cutoff mode, the coordinate system of Z1 is superimposed on Z2, and Z2 follows Z1. That means the face of the collet on the sub-spindle, the Z20, it will be the same as the face of the part on the main spindle, Z10. So that's why if you command on the sub-spindle to move in 1 inch, the machine it will know exactly it has to move from the face of the sub-spindle collet into the part 1 inch exact. Also, G650 it had another function is recheck, because when you use G650, Z2 it will following Z1 just like this. So when you have the part it had the length is longer than the stroke on the Z1, you can use G650 to recheck and then turn the long part. Next will be G660 mode, front-back simultaneous machining mode with double-ended tools using ID tools from tool 11 to tool 14 and the backside from tool 51 to tool 54 at the same time. So the title of the machine already told you everything. You can only command from tool 11 to tool 14 in $1 and tool 51 to 54 on $2, and you have to call tool at the same time. What I mean about that is when you have the double ID block holder just like this, So you have 4 tools in the front from T11 to T14. And in the back side, you have from tool 51 to tool 54. So whenever you use any tool from any side, you have to call the other tool on the other side parallel. For example, if I want to use the tool number 11 right here, I have to call the tool 51 on this side parallel. Because the T code in G660 mode also acting as the queuing code. So if it's not seeing the same tool on the other side, it will hang on right there, and sooner or later it will give you alarm for cycle is over. Until you give it the same tool that parallel like this, and the machine it will run. So the idea for G660 mode is apply for the part that has the same feature for front and back. Example, we're gonna have spot right here and spot right here. And then we thrill in the front and then thrill in the back side. So G660 mode is good for any like center working, any tool that working with the center from front and back at the same time, so it can help you to save cycle time. However, if you want to use the boring bar in the front and then you want to use the thrill in the back, you can use the X2 argument right here. What X2 do is it's gonna superimpose X2 axis onto Y1 axis. So the sub spindle, it will follow the gang tool just like this, and then it allow the gang tool to bore it, and then also in the back side it will thrilling. So one thing right here you have to pay attention, you have to bore the front side and using the Y1 axis. Another thing about G660, we can add an A argument after the tool call in order to use the diameter and core data stored either inside the front machine tool or the back machining tool to add it on the X1 and Y1 axis. And if you don't use the A argument, it's going to try to use the average between the front and the back side and apply for the X1 and Y1 axis. And here down below is an example how you're going to write with G660. Last will be the G600 mode. G600 mode is the machining parent cancel. It used to cancel all the G600 mode and put the machine back to the default mode, just like before the programming start or after the G999 command at the end of the program. Also, G600 mode is in effect in the MDI mode. So when you're using MDI, that means you're using the G600 mode. In G600 mode, $1 allow you to call the tool from T1 to T14. $2 allow you to call the tool from T30 to T38. When you call the T1 to T14, the machine allows you to control X1, Z1, Y1, C1 axis in $1. And when you call the tool from T30 to T38 in $2, the machine will allow you control X2, Z2, C2 in $2. However, the machine will allow you to call the tool from 51 to 54 in the main spindle, also 51 to 54 in $2 as well. So when you call T41 to 51 to 54 in $1, the whole control loop is going to change to X1, Y1, C1, and Z2. In $2, when you use the T51 to T54, it will let you control X1, Y1, Z2, and C2. So that's the difference between $1 and $2 when we're using the T51 to T54. However, what I'm saying right here is what happens if you're going to try to use this tool on $1 and then also try to call this tool in $2. So both of $sign at the same time will try to take control of X1, Y1. And that's gonna like giving the machine a conflict. So like remember I said earlier, if we're gonna use the simultaneously machining running, we're gonna use G630 instead of G600 mode. And the reason why is in G600 mode, it will give you full power to call any tool from anywhere you want. And I just give you an example right there. So what happens if you try to call T1 to T14 on $1 and T51 and T54 at the same time in G600 mode? The machine, it will try to index whatever in $1 first and then try to run it up on $1 while $2 will hang on the tool right here. And after it finishes the tool on $1, it will come over the $2 and try to run this tool right here. However, when it tries to run this tool in $2, the position when it calls the tool, it will be up. I tested on the machine and tried to call this tool center, and it come out as up center. So that's the reason why I want to tell you, okay, if you want to use simultaneous machining mode, we need to use G630. G600 is more powerful, it's got like a lot more things to do, and you need to understand completely what axis that you actually controlling. Otherwise, if you don't understand this and then you control the wrong axis, it can be really dangerous to do that. I believe that will be it for the G600 modes on the L20 machine. Attached together with the book, I have a lot of programming example for you to review from the beginning to end, how you're going to start the program and then how you're going to end the program with the cutoff or some section with thread turn or using the live tool to work right here, or advanced programming about rechecking, or one example very fun right here using G620 to turn the OD and thrilling at the same time. So that's a lot of good information right here, and I think I suggest you to review and then practice on your own so you can write your own program later. And we will have one more video to write the program with the same part in different way using G630 and G660. It's also really good for you to look it up and following in order to complete the L20 programming class. And now, thank you. Bye bye.